Okay, here we are continuing on part 2 of lesson 6, chapter 9. So, taking a look at this bottom part on page 719, we are going to take a look at to find the area of overlapping figures and decompose the figures. So, basically what's going to happen is we are going to get two composite figures or two figures that are going to be overlapping, and we're trying to figure out the area. Now, obviously, with an overlapping area, we have to figure out how we can take away that overlapping area. So, take a look. It says find the area to the figure to the right. Notice that I have two squares and one rectangle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you see the square is a 12 by 12. So I'm going to do this. You see it's 12 by 12, and a 12 by 12 gives us 144 centimeters squared. And then the rectangle we see has a length and width of 15 and 12, which gives us an area of 180. So when I add those two together, our combined area is 324. However, you notice that there is this overlapping area right here. My device is acting all sorts of crazy. Right here, we see this overlapping area. So within that overlapping area, we have to figure out how we can take that overlap away. So what we're going to do is we are going to find the area of this spot that overlaps, and we're going to subtract it from the total that we got from up above from the two composite figures together, and then we're going to take that overlapping piece apart. So when I see this, I see that here is 6 here, so if this whole thing is 12, therefore that side has to be 6, because right here this whole side is 12. Notice I'm going from the parallel side of it. I've been given 6, so I know that this side has to be 6 in order for it to equal 12. Now, how are we going to figure out this right here, okay? Or up here? You decide where you want to look. So, when I see the length of this entire side up here is 12, notice, or 15, notice that I have used 8 right here, okay, and it's all of 15, so this side has to be 7 because 8 plus 7 is 15. So this area right here is 42. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 324 and I'm going to minus 42, which is this overlapping area, to get a square area of 282. Okay, let's take a look at this example down below. Let's just start with this rectangle right here. So area equals length times width. So area equals, where's my length? My length is 6 times my 7. So my area here is 42. Okay, so on that one it's 42. I'm going to switch colors here, and we're going to look at this one. So I have area equals, it's a rectangle, length times width. Area equals, here's my length of 8 times my width of 6. So therefore my area equals 48. Oops, oh goodness. There we go. Again, I'm just not liking me today. Equals 48. There we go. So now I have those two. I've got 42 and 48, which gives me a combined total of 90. I know that I'm going to have to take 90 minus whatever my overlapping area is. So now we're going to take a look at my overlapping area. Again, it looks like a square, so it's going to be length times width, which means I have to figure out what this distance is. So taking a look at this whole side right here, notice that this little piece right there is 1 foot. On the parallel side it is 6, which means this side of this orange has to be 5. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at this side right here. Notice the parallel side is 7. They've given us 2, which means that this length right there is 5. So I know that it is 5 times 5, and 5 times 5 equals 25. So now I come back up here, and I go to my 90 minus my 25, which is going to give me an area of 65 feet squared. Okay, so all we're doing is finding them separate and then taking out that area that it overlaps. All right, let's take a look at the next page for some guided practice. So go ahead and flip over, and we're going to take a look at 1 and 2. Okay, it says the manager of an apartment complex installed new carpeting in the studio apartment. The floor plan is shown to the right. What is the total area needed to be carpeted? Okay, so when we take a look at this, notice that, see how it's cut off? We have two different ways we can look at this. We can cut it off right here. Oh my gosh, there we go. Okay, we can cut this off right here, and we have one trapezoid here, and then we see that we have kind of this too, so maybe we want to do maybe two trapezoids, or could we do this? We could. So now look at this, I've got one rectangle and one trapezoid. So let's do the rectangle. Area of a rectangle is length times width. So area equals, look at my length, it is 25, times my width, which is 10, which is 10. So therefore I get an area of 250 in this spot right there. Now we're going to do the area of the trapezoid. Okay, I'm going to switch colors here. Sometimes it's just easier to see. So here's my trapezoid. So I know the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times my height times base 1 plus base 2. Let's fill in the numbers. So area equals 1/2. What's my height? Looks like my height is parallel right here of 5. My base 1 is 12 plus my base 2, which is all the way across, which is 25. See how this right here is the exact same as 25. I'm going to kind of scoot over here. So area equals 1/2 times 5 times 12 plus 25 is 37. And then I'm going to get area equals 1/2. I'm going to take 5 times 37, which is 185. And when I take half of 185, I get 92.5, which means this area is 92.5. But am I done? No, I have to take my combined total of 92.5 plus my 200. I'm going to write this again. So 250 plus 92.5, and I'm going to make sure that my decimal points are lined up, and when I add that up, I'm going to get 342.5, and we're talking feet squared. So all I did was I took the area of those two places, put them together to get 342 feet squared. All right, the next one, it looks like it's an overlapping area. It says, Finn's Fitness has an entrance to the locker room for both the dance studio and the weight room. What is the total area of Finn's Fitness? Okay, so notice I have two rectangles. So area equals length times width. Let's do this one first. And we need to figure out the length times the width. So we're talking area equals 30 times 28. Again, you have to look for the perpendicular signs. We're not going to take 6 and 14 because that only goes from here. We have to take the length of the whole area and the width of the whole area. So when I take 30 times 28, I get 840. And now, switching colors, let's take a look at the area of this right here. So area equals length times width. There's my length of 33 times my width of 42. When I get the area and the length of that, I get 1,380. But I'm not done yet because now I need to take a look at that locker room. So I'm going to kind of cover this up, use a different color. Here's my locker room. I've got to figure out the length and the width of these. So taking a look from here, notice that on this side I'm given 14. So I'm going to look at the parallel side, the opposite side, and notice it's 28. So I have to figure out what this part is so that it equals 28. Well, it'd be 14 because 14 plus 14 is 28. So I've got this side. Now I'm going to find the perpendicular side. Notice I'm given 16 over here, which means I have to have a total of 30. So that leaves this side with 14 because 16 plus 16 plus 14 is 30. So now let's figure out that area. Length times width. So we're going to take 14 times 14, and area equals 14 times 14 is 196. Okay, so that's the area that I'm taking away, that I'm taking out. So I'm going to add 840 plus 1,380, which gives me 2,250 226, and then I need to minus my 196, which gives me a grand total of 2,030 feet squared for the area of Finn's Fitness. All right, so that is part 2. It's a lot of work. You just have to break it down into what you know, trapezoids, triangles, rectangles, squares. Use the formulas to separate each composite figure. Again, any overlapping figure that you have, that's what you're going to take away from the total. So if there's ever an overlapping question, you find that area and you take it away from the two totals of the figures. All right, good job, mathematicians. You guys are doing awesome.